Welcome to AGS Advanced Software. Today's video will be focused on our CreditRec software. This is a credit card management software that allows you to maintain all credit card spending and reconcile to your actual credit card statements. So let's go ahead and log in. And once we're in, we can take a look at how we enter our transactions. So this can either be a standalone transaction system, or you can integrate to Sage 300. When we actually do a transaction, we can actually either add a new batch, we can edit an existing batch if there's any. So let's just go ahead and add a new batch. And first thing that we're going to have to do is enter in our credit card that we're using. So if I had a specific credit card, we would have a drop down list and choose which credit card we're taking, what date of the transaction transpired. And then we have several different options. We have either a credit card charge, a credit card return, a vendor invoice payment. So what that would do is bring in all transactions from your accounts receivable, your accounts payable system, and allow you to choose and pay off specific invoices, and then have it go back to the accounting and do the appropriate transactions that it requires to remove them from the accounts payable and set up your credit card expense. And then you can also do a vendor invoice credit. So those are the transactions. We will, in this case, we're going to do an actual charge. Our currency for our company is USD, so therefore our credit card is USD. So we will maintain it at a USD exchange rate. First of all, we can put a reference, and what I will do is enter in where I purchased it from, and then I can put a description of what I purchased. So let's just say, for sake of argument, is purchase of office supplies. Now you can enter the full amount of the transaction. So let's, for sake of argument, say that it was $152. And then it actually asks us for which company. So since we have multiple companies, we can actually choose our various company and split the transaction between companies if we do have multiple companies and we want to put a portion to one and so forth. Or if it's just straightforward, direct to this one company, we're going to search for our office supplies account, and there it is. And I will select that account and enter in what our home currency is. So I will put in that it was actually $152, and we have to put the source since it's a multi-currency. So we do have to put the source and the home currency, even though that they're both the same. If you're using multi-currency option, you will have to put it for both. And then I can make sure that I'm distributed amount is in balance. So if you notice that it changed from red out of balance to a green balance, and so now I can process add. Now, if there were taxes, you would just enter in your second line, go to grab your tax account and enter in the tax amount, and so forth. So I will add this transaction. Now I can continue entering in transactions, or if I'm completed and done my transactions for the batch or the day, however it may be, I can close out. Now I can still have an option to enter in a description for the batch. So what I could do is say July 14th transactions, and then that way there I have a batch that's um, sitting there, and I know exactly what it's for. And if I'm ready, I can actually do a posting. So I can post the batch and say yes. Now, if it did have an integration to Sage, the back office, let's just refresh that and notice that it's now gone. Now I could open this back up and show all outstanding posted transactions that we've already deleted or posted, or I can just choose to hide all transactions. So from there, what we would end up doing is, if we're ready to send it over to the accounting system, we would enter in a sync to the accounting. So we would just sync. This would go through all transactions, all databases, and grab any transactions that it needed to and send everything over. And notice that we have some transactions for Sam Inc. The other two database didn't have anything, so it's complete. So now the process is complete, and it would be sitting in the Sage 300 database. Um, Next thing that we can do is we can actually do our credit card payments. So this entry allows you to actually add a payment on your card. So what we would do is choose your card, again your exchange rate. It would total up your balance forward, so as your transactions are piling up you could actually pull up the full balance. We can either decide to pay in full or make a payment, and we can choose our date that we're making a payment. We can put a reference to it, so I'll just say payment on account, and then again choose which company it's coming from. Now I have the option to either do an integrated transaction, so I can say don't uh, do a transaction that sends it over to Sage, or I could just say just only record it because I'm only doing it internal. But if I am working and want to make the bank services and make a payment, we would choose that we're going to actually do a bank service transaction, and we would choose which bank that we would actually pay out of. So if we did have it set with a specific bank code, we would set that up. I'm going to say that we're making a payment with my Amex bank account, and we would put the amount. So I can type in that we're putting $500, and again, the amount on both sides would equal, and then I can add additional notes. So if I did want to add a specific note, such as uh, uh, made payment on account, partial payment. Okay. So I can save that, and now I've entered in my transaction. And again, I can have a look at it. I can come back later, or if I'm ready to actually post the transaction and update and make sure that it goes through, I can post that payment. So what that's done is that's created an entry so that if I did do my reconciliation or wanted to look at any given time what my balance is, I can actually see what it is. On top of that, it will also create a batch that you can then go sync with your accounting and upload that again. So typically what you would do is on a normal day is enter all your transactions, all your payments for today, and do a sync once a day. Or if you needed it every time immediately, you could sync it after every transaction. Now, how does the reconciliation process go? Very straightforward. So I can pull up our specific bank. So I'm going to do a new transaction. So this one's already set. We already have one set, but what I'm going to do is choose, well, actually, that is the account that I'm doing. So I can edit this reconciliation. And as you can see in here, it will show you what your balance forward is, what's my statement date. So again, I can choose if it's a different period. So I could say that, okay, well, this statement date is actually July 15th, and our due date is on, might be August 1st or something to that effect. So it gives you a few areas to do so. Now, if I did have any interest that's on the statement, you could enter it here, and this will go into your interest expense account. Same thing if you had miscellaneous fees or card fees, you can set those up through the settings and have those moved to where you need to. And then we have a point system. So if you did have points that you just very basic, keeping track of, you can actually use them and showcase where you're at so that you can always view, where your points are at. Now, to reconcile, essentially you're just going to take the transactions and start reconciling. So there's my payment, these are all the transactions, and so forth. Now, the other thing is that you would choose your statement end balance and take a look at it. And so if it was at, 2600, you would do so, and then it could show you that you're out of balance by $56. So you would have to make sure that you balanced, to your um, um, to your actual account. So, and then what would happen is you would just balance out. And then once you've balanced everything out after you've reconciled, you would save, and then you could post the transaction. So I would save this, close that out, and then I could actually highlight and make sure that I post that so I can print the actual transaction. Um, to actually get a sample report. So here's my report. It would give me all the details I need, where my credit limit's at, where our balance is at, and so forth, and how much I have left. And again, you can print this report out. And then once you're ready to reconcile and post this, and everything's balanced, you would then post the transaction, and away you go. So you're all good to go. So that's pretty straightforward on how to process the transactions. Now, we do have a reimbursement in mileage. So this is a way to, if someone's tracking mileage and you're going to pay them mileage, and they're using credit card expenses, you could enter in a batch here. So I can add a new batch and enter in, who we're reimbursing to, what the actual transaction is, and so forth. So um, once we actually did this, we could set in all the expense accounts and so forth on who we're reimbursing, how much it is, and so forth. And then this way here, you're tracking someone's mileage. Now we do have a module that's coming out that is a mobile app that will integrate to this, so it's actually a little bit more detailed on how it transpires. But this is a manual process that you would do if you didn't have the mobile app. So sorry, I'm just going to close that out. And that's essentially the whole module. You can run your reports, so you can look at the credit card statement at any given time, and generate for the reconciliation, and view everything. If you needed to look at actual transaction lists, I can pick my batch numbers and generate the report. And we also add in the actual GL transaction list, so that you know at any given time from the batch where the expense is going, and which credit card expense or bank account that we're using, that for the credit card it's going to, and so forth. So you can look at all these wonderful transactions, and every report, and you can look at your payment reports, and again, how we actually paid it. So we came out of this bank and it was processed against this one, which was your Visa. So how it actually updates all your bank information and so forth, and which company databases it's connecting to. So if you did have multiple databases connecting, you would show all that. So that's a quick look at our CreditRec. So thanks for watching.